Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie.
And today we're putting water in our whiskey.
We are.
So this is an experiment that we've been discussing doing for quite some time. We almost always drink our whiskey neat. We didn't always used to.
I certainly didn't.
It's a fairly new development for us. It's in the last year, I would say, that we've both started drinking whiskey neat. We've learned to appreciate it that way, and we still like it in different ways. We like it in cocktails. We like it with water occasionally. We definitely like it with ice cubes, especially in the summertime. There's really no wrong way to drink your whiskey. That's the first thing that we want to make clear with this video, especially if you're a new drinker. If you're just trying to get familiar with it, you're just learning about whiskey, this is an experiment today based on our personal preferences. There are no hard and fast rules here. We're going to see what we like and what works for us, and we encourage you to do the same thing.
Like Phil said, up until, for me, almost 6 months ago, I almost exclusively put a little ice cube in my whiskey just because I just wasn't used to the flavor, I wasn't used to the proof points, I just wasn't used to it.
The heat is a lot to get used to.
Yeah.
And so today, the whiskey that we're actually going to be experimenting with is one that we know is a favorite for a lot of you out there. This is Knob Creek's Single Barrel Reserve. It's 120 proof, so it is an elevated proof point. It sells for about $55 here in Oregon. For us, we have found this bottle a little challenging. Maybe it's the fact that it's this particular single barrel. Single barrels do vary. Some of them drink a little hotter, some of them are much sweeter, some of them are drier. For this particular bottle, we've found it challenging because there is so much ethanol that it seems to be drowning out some of the flavors. And that's the challenge for us. We want to find flavors in this bottle. We like Knob Creek. We like plenty of Jim Beam products. We want to know what we're missing with this bottle. We think that there are ways to unlock possibly more flavors from it. So to start, unless you're drinking something that is foolproof, uncut from the barrel, the distillery has already added water to your whiskey. That's how they get specific proof points, if you didn't already know that. And the reason that they do that is because they know where the sweet spots are. These are master distillers. They know what they're doing, of course. So water dilutes alcohol, which tends to have an anesthesia-like effect on your taste buds. That's my understanding. Like with everything whiskey, it comes down to personal preference. Gotta try this for yourself. And Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve, 120 proof. That's what we've got in front of us right here, and we've got about 3/4 of an ounce in each one of these glasses.
So we're going to drink the first glass neat.
And for the second glass, we will use this tap water here. We will put 1 drop of water in the second glass.
And then in the third glass, we're gonna try it with 5 drops.
5 drops of water in the third glass. And for the last glass, we have about half of an ice cube from just a traditional ice cube tray. Nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy. And they're melting as we speak.
Melting as we speak, so we're gonna get after it here. We're gonna do that right now, and then we will get on with this tasting. So one thing that I want to mention really quickly before we get started is I was reading Lou Bryson's book here, Tasting Whiskey, and even as an expert taster, he mentioned that he likes to chuck a bunch of ice in a rocks glass and drown it in Four Roses Yellow Label. That's only 80 proof, so if the experts are putting ice on their whiskey, you can too.
I kind of like that. You know how I love Four Roses Yellow Label in the summertime.
Man, let's get started with our neat glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You do get a little of that ethanol in the nose.
It's so strange.
Man, it just masks all the flavors.
Let's go in for a sip.
Woo! Got some heat there. But I got maple sugar. Ooh, I kind of like it today.
It is good whiskey. No, there's no doubt that it's good whiskey. This is a bottle that's why I said challenging.
Cinnamon?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're great. Cinnamon, vanilla. I'm getting a lot of vanilla. There's not a ton of oak right off the bat, but I feel like it's starting to get there. It's definitely good whiskey. The challenge is it drinks a little hot.
Oh man, look, well, I mean, I made that exuberant noise there.
You've got the watery eye going.
I do. I have a little bit of watery eye. I got a little bit of that. You get it in the nose kind of area.
It really gets you that way.
It does, but I will say I like it better than I did last time.
I suspect that this bottle has actually opened up a
Yeah.
little bit the last time we opened it. This bottle's been open for about 4 weeks now. It does sort of numb the tongue, and I suspect that's the heat on this one. Again, we've had barrel proofers, 130 proofers plus that drink so easy and don't affect the tongue this way. And again, it could be single barrel. We like the flavor. There's definitely no denying that. The flavors are great here. Vanilla, caramel, oak, toffee. There's a lot happening here that is very satisfying, but it's tough to get to the root of those flavors. It's tough to find them. And if you're not a extremediate or above taster, then you might have some trouble with this. And so I'm excited to see what we find when we get to the rest of these. What do you think? Yeah,
and I just want to make one point and say, until you had kind of mentioned the thing about the numbing agent, a lot of times I'll get like a tingle on my tongue. A rye spice is different, obviously, but it did kind of numb just like a little bit of the taste buds, not further back, but more in the front.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting how your senses are all related too, because I just took another nose of the glass and now I'm starting to get some of those flavors where at first I got nothing. And now I'm getting, you know, like brown sugar. There's a little bit of maple. There's definitely vanilla. Like things are coming through now on the nose, whereas that first time, nada.
I'm actually getting a lot of molasses now on the nose, which is totally unusual compared. I didn't get any of that on the first nose, so definitely nose your bourbon after your first sip too. That's another good tip.
All right, let's get to number 2 because my ice cubes melted already over here.
So this glass has 1 drop of water in it. Cinnamon now, maybe even some leather on the nose, which is that's really interesting. I didn't get any of that before.
Yeah, the nose does smell a slightly different than the first one.
Let's have a sip.
Yep. Still good heat there. I do have a little bit of the watery eye thing. It's so funny. It's like I should be over that by now, but
really the same flavor profile. There's still some numbness on my tongue, but even though there's a little water in here, I feel like it's creamier on my tongue. I feel like the mouthfeel has improved, even though it's got a little more water in it.
I've got a little cherry on this one, like a dark cherry.
I get more maple syrup now. Yeah, I
don't
know.
It's the same thing, but it is drinking just slightly different.
It's a little bit different. I don't know that it opened anything up really. The main difference that I got is the nose, tons more leather.
Yeah, I would agree with. It's not too different.
Right.
The 1 drop didn't do much on this one.
One thing I will note is these are a little bit warm on my lips. Don't adjust your computer screen. I've spent too much time in the sun lately, and I've got my first sunburn of 2021. My lips are a little warm. I'm like, yeah, I look like a lobster. Let's move on to the 3rd glass here. This has 5 drops of water in it.
Ooh, this one immediately has a sweeter nose. I'm not getting as much ethanol on this.
This is all brown sugar and leather.
Brown sugar. Yeah. I'm getting a hint of vanilla on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting. So the nose did open up more on this one.
Yeah, the toffee is showing up.
Okay.
Let's do it. I get so much more vanilla now.
Vanilla, and it's sugarier.
Yeah, this is so sweet now.
I am getting less of that tongue numbness on this.
Same here, but I just got a Kentucky hug, probably from the cumulative effect. But it is, I think that there's a lot more here. I get cinnamon on the finish now. The oak,
cinnamon.
9 years in the barrel, you're expecting a lot of oak. I really didn't get it on the first suit, but I'm getting a ton of it here.
And I'm getting a lot more of that cinnamon you were talking about, but not like cinnamon spice. For me, it's more like a cinnamon candy.
Yeah, like a hot cinnamon disc.
Like a hot cinnamon disc, yeah.
It's good. I actually...
Well, I kind of like it with the 5
I'm excited
drops.
at this level. This is hitting my palate. It's giving me so much more flavor, aroma, and the finish. It's the first time I noticed the finish.
And I just got that Kentucky hug you were talking about.
It's there.
It took a while, but like it is just parked in there. All right, let's finish this off with glass number 4, and this was our ice cube one.
Like half an ice cube in here, and
fully melted.
The glass is colder. You can feel.
Oh, it is colder.
You can feel the temperature has changed, and
I actually don't get anything on the nose.
Nope, it's dead.
Dead. That's so funny. Like it completely died. Like no ethanol, no nothing. Everything's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. It literally washed away a lot of the flavors. It tastes, maybe our ice cube was too big on this one.
I mean, maybe.
It tastes a bit watery.
Yeah.
It washed the flavors away. You can tell there's probably something in there.
Yeah.
And I only took a sip, but that is interesting.
This smells and tastes like peanut shells, touch of maple syrup, not much else.
It's also really interesting to drink it cold, which is basically the only way I used to drink it.
Oh yeah.
And now it feels funny.
It tastes. I will
but
say
maybe because the other three were all warm, so
I mean, again,
room temperature, not warm.
Again, we're talking personal preference, and this one, the temperature of this, I quite like it. Yeah. I'm not getting nearly as much aroma, nearly as much flavor, but there is maple syrup there. There is some sweetness. There is a little bit of nuttiness. You lose a lot of the complexity, a lot of the subtlety, but there's still something there. It's still flavorful. A nice pour of this over an ice cube and drinking it on the patio in the summertime. Yeah. Absolutely. There's no wrong way to drink this whiskey. The more I sip this, the more I like it.
Well, and I just took a third sip, and now I'm getting some of that peanutty flavor. And I don't know if maybe just I didn't swirl it enough and I had some of that lingering water on the top, and so that's what I was getting. But now the flavors are coming through. Maybe it's a little bit more cohesive. A little bit easier to drink because it does cut some of that heat away.
That's dangerously sippable.
Yeah, super sippable. You still are getting some good flavors in there. They're not as strong as the other ones.
No.
But very enjoyable. And I agree, if it's like hot outside or whatever, it tastes pretty good.
Are you you still got some there, right? You didn't drink them all yet, did you?
No, but I was so perplexed by my glass number 4 that I really did.
You're doing great.
And we just did a whole sipping thing the other day.
Did you do sipping practice? I wasn't around. I didn't know. Do you have a sipping coach now?
No.
Glass 4 is so watered down and cold that you lose a lot of the complexity. Glass 1 has so much heat that my tongue still goes almost immediately numb, and I lose a lot of the flavor, a lot of the complexity. So the neat glass and the ice cube glass are my two least favorite, even though they're fine as is, because I don't get the complexity, because I don't get the subtleties and all of the rich flavors that come from this whiskey.
Ooh, wow, they are wildly different,
Super
actually.
Different.
Wow, glass 1 to glass 4. Oh, that is interesting. I kind of like this experiment.
One of these days, we're going to do a blind tasting of one whiskey in 6 glasses and see how many different whiskeys we think they are.
I could be fooled quite easily.
5-sip Friday, 4 glasses, it's all the same thing.
I will say I do like glass number 3. That was the one with the 5. You get so many good flavors out of that. It still gives me a really nice Kentucky hug. It's really nice and warm. I'm not getting a ton of like ethanol heat on that though, so that's kind of nice.
I completely agree. Glass number 3 with the 5 drops of water in it, that's my favorite here. I'm getting fruit, I'm getting toffee, I'm getting tons of maple, I'm getting lovely oak, cinnamon and vanilla on the finish. It's still rich, it's still creamy. It's all the things that you expect of this whiskey and that you want this whiskey to be. It's still ultra satisfying, but I'm not getting the dancing tongue thing. It's not going numb. I'm getting all the complexity, all the subtlety, all the mouthfeel with none of the harsh things that I dislike about the neat pour. This is a good whiskey, and this is the way that I like to drink it.
I agree with you. And I just did glass number 2, which just had that 1 drop, and it doesn't make enough of a difference.
Yeah, neat and 1 drop are very similar in my opinion. The ice cube is overkill.
And for me, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by how this turned out. I will say that glass number 3 with the 5 drops of water in it, for me, really hit the mark. Like it covered all those bases. It gave me a nice hug, which is always welcome.
You like that.
Without the breathing fire heat coming out. I still got all of the flavors. This was really fun for me because I kind of was disappointed I didn't like it because I know people really like this bottle, and now maybe have found a way to drink it. And I think this would be a great Friday night pour.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you're looking for a little punch, like a little punch of spice.
Punch spice. I will say, yeah, I don't dislike this bottle. When we tasted it neat, we obviously found a lot of flavors in it, but like we said at the top of the video, it's a challenge for us to find flavors in here. Yep. Every palate's different. There's nothing wrong with that. Yep. But for us, we were able to find as much, if not more flavor, more complexity, better subtleties, and an improved sipping experience by just putting a little bit of water in it. For us, that's the way that we plan to enjoy this bottle in the future.
I think so.
That worked really well.
Yeah.
Obviously, a ton of you have recommended this Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve out there. We know that you love this bottle.
Yeah.
Let us know if you've had this, if you've liked it or disliked it. Are you putting water in this? What is the whiskey that you love with water in it? What is the whiskey that you absolutely think needs water in it to open up and is a better whiskey when it has water in it? As always, like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at The Bourbon Van. Join us on Patreon, bonus content, exclusive live streams, and from wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Tastes like pancakes now.